Are you a brewer looking to open, grow, or plan your next move? I'm Ted Zeller, liquor law attorney at Norris McLaughlin. I've spent my career working with breweries, helping them navigate the regulations that come with this industry at the municipal, county, state, and federal levels. From first permits to expansion into new markets, my team serves as legal counsel on licensing, compliance, and distribution. If you're ready to plan your next move or need legal guidance, I am here to help. Feel free to call me at 484-765-2220 or email me at tzeller@norris-law.com.
So the very next day after that conversation, Founders had just announced that they were getting behind Solid Gold, which is their light lager.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to do. And I'm like, it was just Beer Business Daily. And I had to forward the emails to the whole team every day when we get them. And the headline was, Solid Gold, Founders, the next big thing. And Bob sent an email back and he, quoted them. Oh, what the hell are they thinking? Like, the next big thing. Yeah, right. They should listen to Mike Contreras about, the hazy IPAs. So I called Stiggs and I'm like, there's an email in your inbox that might as well be my resignation letter. And I told Bob, like, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, we ended up brewing Up and Out. And we kind of worked with Ruby and Bob to make sure that it was all the things that they didn't like about hazy IPAs. We want to put our own kind of we didn't like that they were not too shelf stable. But the ones that came out early, it really had a very short shelf life.
Welcome back to BrewedAt Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, joined as always by Evan Blum.
Hello.
And today we welcome on Michael Contreras from 2SP.
Hey guys, thank you. Don't want to tap, sorry. You're fine.
We've already kind of been doing the podcast the last 20 minutes. Feels like, well, let's just jump into it. First, we were talking about Patrick McDonald, the beer accountant. Yeah. Can we just continue the story?
Yeah, so I, back in the day, I was a rugby player, and I played, since college, and I played for the Doylestown Men's Club, and I played for 1 year out of college. I moved to California, played out there for a few years. And the teams I played for out there, I could go back there, 4 years later and nobody would know me. I go back 4 years later to Doylestown and I'm walking up to the field. Can I curse on this?
Yeah.
They say, Contreras, you fat fuck, get on the field. And Pat McDonald was part of that crew of guys. And it was a great club. And Pat was, one of those really, first in the beer scene kind of guy with knowing what's going on. This is 2010. And, we just talked shop for quite a while. And he was an accountant. He was just coming into the game and he saw a great opportunity. The dude is awesome. Really great guy. Highly recommend him. Very easy to deal with. So
how is he at rugby?
That's
he's an intense guy. Have you ever seen him give a presentation? He's got a lot of energy.
I was going to say he's got a lot of energy on the field. I'm glad he didn't quit his day job. Let's say that so rugby now for both of us. But he was a great rugby player, vicious, and when you get on the field, like a switch just kind of goes off. Pat has that switch.
What is men's rugby like? Is it like the 37 under football program? Or is it completely insane? People are tearing ACLs, or
it was men's club, college. I mean, even in college, the clubs I played for, we would have guys, who, were 10 years out of school, ripping cigs, drinking beers on the side, and then come.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Hofstra for undergrad. I went to the Claremont colleges for grad school.
Yeah.
And I have some beer stories from there, with, doing some outside business. But, the men's club it's another breed of guys. But Doylestown, for their credit, they were a great club. And Pat, when we were there, we made it all the way to the national championships. But
oh wow,
we were all kind of like homegrown talent, if we can say talent. But when we get to the nationals, it was all funny talkers from when I say funny, Europeans, South Africans, and we were just like this little homegrown squad. We weren't big guys or anything, but we took on San Francisco and then we played Tampa Bay, and it was just kind of like,
that's awesome.
What the hell we doing? Pat's awesome, really great dude, and awesome to see his success. So
that's cool.
Pat's gonna come on at some point soon, and we'll ask him his take on you when that.
Yeah, there's got to be. Don't ask him when I score my first try. They call it a Zulu, and you gotta expose yourself and run through the. So don't ask him about that story, all right? But no, but yeah, he's great.
That's funny. Cool. So you are with 2SP. I guess where you were in the brewing industry before 2SP was in existence, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, just like many of you guys, I found craft beer young, and in college, my buddy had a small party. I'm drinking PBR, and he's got, I think, a bottle of Orval and a bottle of Pilsner, or a Paulaner. And he's telling me about
in college.
In college, yeah. This is 2002, 2003. So, so he's telling me about these monks that brew beer. I'm like, get the fuck out, And sure enough, he's kind of telling me all these stories about European heritage breweries and what have you. And I've always looked like this, since I was like 18. So I've never needed a fake ID. So there's a spot. I went to school in Long Island, and there was a great spot that had a good selection of craft beer. So I just started going and picking up Bombers of Rogue, some Dogfish Head Chicory Stouts were around at the time, and just kind of got, head over heels with this new thing that was just coming out. It was kind of that second wave of craft beer.
Yeah.
So I came back after college, and Triumph Brewing had just opened up in New Hope. And Rich Colley, rest in peace, him and I started working there at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
just bartending?
Bar, yeah. I was, so I wasn't bartending, I was a server. They would never let me be behind the bar. But
what about Rich?
Rich was behind the bar. That was the best time.
Was Rich the same as he was?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Rich was an absolute nut. And that was probably, in college, I was kind of a nerd, and my friends were nerds. And there weren't frats or anything.
Yeah.
The rugby guys got kind of out of hand, but Triumph those years was absolutely nuts. And the guys who were brewing there, Jay Michon and Patrick Jones, who eventually went to go brew. I don't know if you know these guys. They've since moved on, but Patrick Jones was, I think, he moved to Triumph Philly. He was the OG brewer there. He just made killer Pilsners. And so I worked there for a year, moved to California, went to grad school out there, and I'm not that bright of a guy. And my family knows it. And I'm telling my mom this over the phone, and, I'm not struggling, but I'm like kind of in over my head. She's like, maybe you should look for a job out there. But no, I'm going to see this through. I'm going to go for my PhD. And all of a sudden I get a call out of the blue. It says Boston, Mass. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Hello, Mike Contreras. And she's, Mike, yeah, hey, it's so-and-so from Boston Beer. We're really glad to get your resume. Love to schedule a call. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. I'm thinking like maybe the local beer store. You talk to a distributor rep who had heard that Boston Beer was looking for somebody. No, my mom sent my resume because I talked to her. And she's like, listen, we know how much we love you, but I don't know if this PhD thing's gonna work out. You really like beer, so. This is a long-winded way of saying I didn't get the job at Boston, but I hit up Rogue, and Rogue was, looking for somebody at that time in Southern California. So I interviewed with them a couple times, and amazingly, I'm 23 years old. This is like 2007, and they give me the job. And, craft beer now.
What was Rogue like then?
It was crazy. It was a different time, man. So, excuse me. So Rogue, the model for them was, the river runs wide, not deep. So they didn't really focus on local markets like a lot of breweries do today. And, for a lot of people who got into craft beer, Rogue was one of their first beers. And they're out of Newport, we would say Newport, fucking Oregon, which is like the Dungeness crab capital of the world that nobody's ever heard. How did that beer get everywhere? Their business model was just hey, we've got a unique package, the 22-ounce bomber. We're going to brew all these different styles of beer. And the packaging was great. And the brewer, John Meyer, who used to brew at Alaskan, and if you guys are familiar with Alaskan brewing, the smoked porter, that was his recipe, which was kind of crazy.
Legendary recipe.
Yeah, the Alaskan guy said, I saw him at a party. They're just like, that was John's recipe. So, but anyway, working at Rogue, I was in sales, and for sales, for your listeners is, I'm dealing with accounts, bars and off-premise liquor stores, what have you. But I'm mostly dealing with wholesalers. And I think I had like 18 wholesalers at the time.
Wow.
And
In Southern California?
Central Southern California.
Okay.
So San Diego out to San Luis Obispo, out to Barstow, and down to the Imperial, like Calexico area, and Las Vegas. So I didn't do a great job. Let's just say that. I was completely green driving a Mazda Protege around, but loading in those bomber bottles into the trunk. This little thing that had a lawnmower engine in it. But it was crazy. It was great, and it was a time where you could go and sell. I was selling like what would be on the shelf at $13, $14 6-pack for Dead Guy Ale, and I was selling $250 half kegs in 2008.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So these guys, just working at Rogue, I mean, they were brewing great beer. There was a market for it. And it was, not shooting fish in the barrel, and there were certainly challenges too. I remember, I'm 23, but again, I look, pretty old. So I remember I get called into Harbor Distributing, which is a Reyes, for people who are listening, Reyes is one of the biggest wholesalers.
Yeah. And
they had operations in California. And I'm getting talked down to because we were the first brewery to raise our keg deposits from $15 to $30. And this is when you could scrap cooperage for much more than your deposit was worth, because it was a desire, melting down, aluminum, whatever, was extremely profitable because China and India were blowing up and they needed all the metal they could get. So I'm getting yelled at by our wholesaler who's got, he's got this, what do you call this, Bluetooth thing, be like, what the fuck are you doing raising these keg rights? I'm like, I'm just 23, man. I have no idea. But Rogue just kind of threw me to the wolves. So it was a way of saying, I had a huge territory. It was a great experience. Southern California at that time with craft beer was insane. I mean, it was really blowing up. So it's just, I'm 23. So, I'm going down to San Diego, going to Pizza Port and going to, O'Brien's Bar in this cool little neighborhood where they had Alpine beer, if you remember those guys.
Yeah.
Exponential Hoppiness. So really cool experience, and very good group of guys, and I learned a lot from them.
What brought you back east?
So the Rogue was like, hey, we want you to move to Oregon. I wasn't finished my degree. I still had that dream in the back of my mind. And I was like, I'm going to finish grad school. So I ended up finishing grad school with a cultural studies master's. What can you do with that, right? So here I am.
In South here.
Yeah, right. So I ended up, finishing up there, and this is like 2008, 2009, or actually 2010. This is the financial crisis, really hit hard everywhere, but really you saw it in Southern California. When I would come back here, you didn't really see the effects of it as much. People were hurting here for sure, but I remember I lived 10 minutes from campus, and I would count like 25 foreclosure signs on these houses. So the economy really took a hit out there. So I tried getting a job out there. It didn't work out. So I came back east, and I moved in with my family in Bucks County, where I returned to Rich.
Yeah. So the Eastern Bucks.
I'm from Richboro.
I respect Council Rock guy.
Yeah.
I was there when it was all one school.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I finished like 700 in my class. The 1,100 that were there. So, yeah.
So the Green Parrot.
Yes.
I met his parents one night. I was doing a tasting. I was dressed up as an astronaut, and as you normally do. Yes. Yeah. And your parents were like, "Do you know Michael?" Yes, but I feel embarrassed right now. I'm saying normally I'm talking like customers. I feel like there's like a barrier, but now breaking that barrier.
Of course. No, my parents are big quiz guys, and they pass no judgment on anybody. They're knuckleheads themselves. But yeah, no, I actually worked at Green Parrot.
Oh, really? Green Parrot's a great bar.
Yeah, awesome spot. Bobby, who owns it's one of the salt of the earth guys. Absolute nutball, but great dude. Great.
Shout out Nick, Green Parrot.
Yeah, Nick, awesome dude. He's been there forever. But yeah, no, I returned back, and then I was like, oh, what the hell am I going to do? So I worked at Triumph for a little bit. Rich was, I think he was at Triumph Philly, and then he went to open up Standard Tap, or he was just there shortly after the
Yeah.
Not open it up, but became bar manager, excuse me. So I go back to grad school, get a teaching degree, and I get a call from my buddy who I worked with at Rogue. He became the VP of sales at Dogfish, and he says, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm in grad school again." He's like, "You want a job?" I'm like, "Sure." So I was only back for about 1.5 2 years, and then I moved down to Southern Delaware and worked for Dogfish, and was there with them for 5 years. And
What year was this?
2010. So that was crazy too. And that was like,
That was
I know you
peak
guys.
prime, like Dogfish has taken over the world.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, I know you guys had Sam on the podcast, right? Awesome guy. Dogfish back then was.
I mean, he was on the Martha Stewart show. He was on like,
He had his own show. He had a Discovery show. It was insane. Like, and he was a celebrity. It was just people would come down. Like Robert Plant was there from. Not Van Halen, Jesus Christ, Led Zeppelin. So, Kelly Kapowski ended up coming through the brewery. Just like random people in Southern Delaware. But Sam's an awesome guy, and working for them, I was the Delaware and Eastern Shore regional sales guy, and it was.
was that not too difficult to sell Dogfish to the Eastern?
No, Eastern Shore. That's another breed of people. I didn't know what I was getting into. Yeah, I don't know, have you guys been to the Eastern Shore?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
It's not the Jersey Shore.
Definitely not. But they're all Phillies. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, it's east of Baltimore. It's just a suburb. But no, this is like, you kind of forget that, Maryland's the Mason-Dixon line, that border. So, and not to say anything like they're so, they have that part of their history, but they maintain that. But they're certainly like as kind of country folk where I remember the first time I did beer sampling down there.
It's the lower, slower Delaware.
Lower, slower. I do a sampling at a account in Fruitland, Maryland, which is just outside of Salisbury. And back then, wholesalers would come out and, support you and say, "What's up?" So I was giving my wholesaler some shit. I'm like, "Yo, Patrick, where are you, man?" He's like, what? I said, "What are you?" And he says, "Mike, first, you never talk to me like that again. Secondly, I'm at Muskrat and Coon eating dinner." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "You ever have Muskrat?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Then shut the fuck up. I'll call you tomorrow." And I'm like, I have no idea where I am, who I'm dealing with. But, it was awesome. And the people down there, there's great spots in like Cambridge, Maryland, Easton, Maryland, where you wouldn't know. You walk into a spot like in Cambridge. He used to own a restaurant called Bistro Poplar. He's now at a spot called Ocean Odyssey. The dude was a sous chef at the French Laundry, but he's like the salt of the earth dude. He's got a great restaurant. I partnered with my boy Travis there.
It's amazing. If you would just want to go down for a weekend to get away, it's almost like a mix because it's like it's a beach, kind of a beach town, but it's more of like a lake area. It's like a lake rural area, but there's like nice little towns down there that you can just kind of disappear to.
Yeah, St. Michael's. And it's kind of a retreat for people in D.C., but yeah, people don't know. It's a quick, hour, 2 hour drive from here, and it's you feel like you're transported to another place.
Yeah,
for real. But
that's cool. So, I guess what were the beers that you were selling down there for? Because they were making everything down there, but was it mostly 60-minute?
So Dogfish, it was 60 minute at that time in my market at least was around 50% of the business, if memory serves me correct, and we were selling a lot of 90-minute. Britain Baton was very popular, which is oak-aged Imperial IPA. Palo Santo had just come around, if you remember that beer. Palo Santo was Imperial Brown Ale aged in Palo Santo wood, which is like the hardest wood in the world. Sam would tell the story where, he went down to either Brazil or Paraguay, I forget where, but somewhere in South America where the tree is. And whoever he was with was like, took a handgun out, he shoots this, little 2x4 of it, and the bullet bounces off. So, pretty crazy, this type of wood, but it yielded some, when the beer was aged in it, yielded this like kind of really just superb oak flavor to it.
I couldn't imagine that my wholesaler today and pitching that beer to them.
Oh, come on. I mean, yeah, it's that's the thing. Back then it was just,
it was crazy stuff all the time, everywhere.
And it would sell.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we would have jokes within the sales team. It's like, Sam could do whatever he wanted in a bottle and it would sell. But Dogfish had that cachet and a lot of other breweries did too.
Yeah.
And the market was completely different. It was growing. There was people coming to it. They were very excited. And there was a lot of cool beers that, people hadn't done before. And the novelty of that, the Ancient Ale series with beers like Midas Touch and like Tank It, there were cool things that, what was his name? Pat McGovern, just, hey, these are recipes, do your own kind of modern interpretation of them or follow them to a T. And that was an interesting story, and people were captivated by those things. And you could sell beers that in 750 milliliter bottles at, 18, 22 bucks a pop, people kind of, you would have much more difficult time today selling, unfortunately. But yeah, that was kind of this heyday of you could, grow a brand nationally and with these kind of very novel beers that, today would be very difficult to sell within your own backyard. So
Even in your own tap room. Like, you aren't even buying like barrel-aged 22-ounce can bottles.
Yeah. Think about, back in the day, man, you used to have bottle clubs all over where we used to have one where it was just, hey, we're going to just do a barrel program and limited. And it was very tough for us to manage. And a lot of breweries, it's very tough to do. But hey, we had the people who were very interested in it. And it's no disrespect to the customer. They just have moved on or the tastes have evolved. But yeah, that was a completely different time. So, yeah.
And then from there, you went to where? To Iron Hill? Or you went straight?
So I'm one of the few guys at 2SP who never were frying it
Okay.
up. So we have a very close relationship with those guys. They're all great guys.
Can you give us the breakdown of the team? I know, but
Sure,
probably
yeah.
is the
So you have Michael Stiglitz, who's the owner, along with, so he owns Two Stones Pub. So that's where the name 2SP comes. We're not clever enough to think of another name. We just, abbreviated it. So he worked with Bob at Iron Hill Media.
and he was a chef. He was right in the kitchen.
Yeah, so Chef Steaks, and he was like he was a good chef in Philly. He worked for some
The Forces or something.
Yeah, and Susanna Foods and Striped Bass, I believe, with Patrick Fury. Yeah, so
They cross paths with Marnie by any chance? You know Marnie Old?
I know Marnie Old. Yep,
Marnie was the wine
he might have.
person there.
He might have. I'm not sure. I think he did. But he, had a family, and he was like, hey, I need to change my hours of Philly lifestyle, especially that in restaurant culture back then, back house guys get a little bit nuts. He's like, I got to take it back.
Yeah.
So he went to go work for Iron Hill and work with Bob. So Bob was at Iron Hill Media at the time. They worked together, developed a relationship. Stiggs moved on and he opened up Pickle Pig Pub he opened up, Pickle Pig Pub and Pig and Fish in Rehoboth Beach.
Did you ever cross paths with him down there?
No, he moved up the time I got down there. He was opening up Two Stones Pub. So him and I never crossed paths, and his partner, Ben Muse, we call Gumbo, he worked with him at Pickle Pig. They both went up and said, hey, we want to do a similar concept, but in Newark, Delaware.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask, is it Delaware and Pennsylvania kind of blend into each other at some point?
Yeah.
And was it in Delaware first or Pennsylvania?
So it was in Delaware first, the restaurant. So the first location was in Newark, and the second location was in Wilmington.
Okay.
And then they opened up Kenneth Square. And then I believe it was Hocus next, then Jennersville, which is out in sort of western Chester County.
Yeah.
And then we had Middletown open up as well.
Cool.
We recently shut that one down. Middletown, Delaware, if you're not familiar, it's unincorporated town, so they don't have many zoning regulations. So every chain under the sun is in Middletown. So it's very, very.
I've been to Middletown plenty of times. I used to have a friend that lived down there.
Okay.
And it's an interesting place. That's what, slower. It's like, that's what it is.
It's getting into that, right?
Yeah.
So starting to bleed in. It's kind of this like thoroughfare to go into the Eastern Shore from.
Chris Godwin
This one.
on the Bucks, Pride of Middletown.
There you go. I didn't know that. Yeah. So the Two Stones guys, Iron Hill, and Ben had worked at Iron Hill as well. So those were the three original guys, and Two Stones was like the craft beer bar in Delaware. And they were one of my accounts at Dogfish, did a ton of cool events with those guys. I get a call from Stiggs, and he's asking, I want to open up a brewery, blah, blah, blah. And so I really know about the sales and marketing side, not so much about the production. So I'm kind of like, hey, you need a store, you need all this stuff, you got to build a brand. And he's like, would you ever think about joining up and doing something, with us? And I'm like, ugh. Like every asshole was opening up a brewery, right? So what year is this? This is 2014.
Okay, so it's like at the tail end of like everything is booming. Yeah. And it's like, I can't mess this up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was thinking. But I said, you haven't even told me who your brewer was.
Yeah.
And he says, Bob Barrar. So, for your listeners, and you guys are aware, Bob is really well regarded, well respected in the industry amongst all the brewers here. And
is this Bob, right?
That's Bob, yeah. It's
Bob
not me. I get it mistaken. My beard is not as illustrious as his. But he was, one of the OG craft brewers. It was with Red Brick Brewing.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then he was the brewer when the Spectrum had a brewery in house.
I don't even know if I knew that.
Yeah, throwback. Yeah. So he was the brewer there, and then he went to Iron Hill, and he won a ton of medals at Great American Beer Fest. I think from 99 to whatever.
When the GABF medals meant a lot.
Yeah. It absolutely did, and people would kind of flock to your spot if you had won a medal, and he was the guy. But for me, when I heard that Bob was the brewer, I was like, this is a really unique opportunity because it's like having an Olympic swimmer in a bathtub, right? He only sells his beer at Iron Hill in that one location. I have a chance to bring his beer to the region. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, you can sell this.
I can go from one easy job to the other. So I thought, hey, why not? So we all joined up, and Andrew Rubenstein, Ruby, he was with Iron Hill, awesome dude at Sacred Vice.
Yeah.
A very, very tight buddy of mine. We're like, fuck it, let's start a business. So we all got together, and we've grown it. This is our 11th year now.
Wow.
Yeah. What?
And it's cool brewery because Sam, we just heard the news about Workhorse shutting down.
Yeah.
But you guys are the other kind of like local craft brand that has like the cool new brewery, like large specific mechanical brew house.
Yeah.
It's very nice. You guys have a ton of space there.
Yeah.
And it's I used to go to, you guys used to host NBA meetings.
Yep.
We used to come there all the time, and it was like the NBA was showing off like, listen, guys, like this is what you guys should be. I used to take tours there all the time. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, where we're at, so we're in Aston.
Yeah.
Technically, our mailing address is Aston, but we're technically in Chester Township, which is great because the cops love us there. It's really nice. It's just us. There's no sort of private equity involved.
Yeah.
No other funding. It's just this group of guys.
Yeah.
And we're able to get this space, which is pretty big, but granted, it's because, we're in an industrial park in this, sort of secluded area, right near where the Union Stadium is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great operation set up to be sort of like a regional brewery to brew a good amount of barrelage of, core group of brands. And we have smaller tanks to do occasional brands, what have you. So it's been a great space for us. Could we have opened up somewhere else with a little smaller location where we could have gotten more taproom traffic? Hindsight's, 2020, but it's worked out for what we were set out to do.
Definitely.
Yeah. But
so what kind of beers did you guys start off with?
So it was interesting, man. So 2014, we were all sitting down like, hey, what are we going to open up with? What are we going to do? And hazy IPAs were in the
It is a different age in craft beer.
Yeah. And it was just like Founders All Day was the thing. Like it blew up. Sculpin was huge, or was just starting to take off from Ballast Point. So we were like kind of modeling ourselves like, hey, how do we want to do this? Because we do have a lot of space. This is a business. How are we going to kind of go to market and be aggressive? And, we're all kind of tossing around ideas. And if you've ever met Bob, you've met Bob?
I met him like briefly, but
yeah,
I don't know him that well at all.
Really great guy, hulking dude from Delco. So if you guys know anything about Delco, being in Bucks, you hear a story about Delco guys. Bob's a Delco guy. So, but he's quiet and he's hulking. He's like a massive dude, intimidating.
He's like a lumberjack.
Yeah. But huge muscles, and he's just we're sitting in his kitchen. We're all kind of just gabbing about, let's brew this, let's brew that. And we're like, Bob, what do you want to brew? And he's like, I don't care what we brew as long as we brew Delco fucking lager. And I'm like, okay. So we started off with that beer because, if we look at the Philly 5 county area, so Bucks, Chester, Montgo, Delco, Philadelphia County, Delco is always the one county that did not drink craft. It was lowest sales for any wholesaler and for any brewery. Yeah, it was just working class neighborhood, still is, that just never took on to craft. So Bob saw this as the gateway beer to get them there. So let's brew an amber lager, make it pair perfectly with a pretzel, tailgate beer, and
call it Delco.
And call it fucking Delco. Yeah. So, and it's worked out for us. It's our number 2 brand. I know it's, we were talking before, it's the year of the lager. It's IPAs still move, fantastically for us. But Delco Lager is always one of these brands that, we're going to put, our heart and soul into it. But that was the beer that we originally started out with. We had a few other beers. Ruby was, he was really involved with kind of developing our beer portfolio. And he's stubborn as a mule like I am, and we would go at it. But he wanted to start off with the Belgian Amber. And I'm like, all right, dude, you're the brewer. You're I got to give the creative guys their space to do it, and that's what he wanted to do. And what else? We had a session IPA called ASAP, and we had a few at Weiss Wit, which was our favorite beer when we sampled our wholesalers on it. It was a Berliner Weiss Belgian White hybrid. And it was awesome. Really? Yeah, it was great, but it just wouldn't sell. And
the sour beers are tricky.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the name or something, but everybody who drank it was just like, this is great. It had the tartness, but it had that coriander note to kind of round it out. So those are the beers we started with, and Delco's the one that sort of made it through. So
it's cool. Delco in the last 5 years or so, even Hollywood, and maybe that's just there's specific just shows that are coming out about it, and then obviously Shane Gillis is on top of the world right now. Yeah, he's kind of leaning into it.
Oh yeah, Delco is like a country unto itself, and now it's just it feels like it's just being discovered, right? Yeah. And it's got its own language, its own people. I mean, when I got there, I was like, man,
you lived there now for?
I haven't lived in Delco, but it feels like I've been there for so long. And, during the pandemic, especially, we really got to, keep the social distancing, whatever, really got to know everybody in the community. But I couldn't describe what Delco was. And Joe, who is our old warehouse guy, he's like, it looks like everybody got out of softball practice or something. And I'm like, you know what? That's what it is. And my family's from Queens originally. It's just a working class community where it's not the same as, say, where we grew up in Bucks County, which was, a little more affluent in some areas. Delaware County certainly has that. But
it's this distilled stereotype of what people from other parts of the country think about Philadelphia.
Yeah. Whenever you read comments about something happened at Veterans Day, Citizen Bank, the first guy, freaking Delco.
It's just Florida man, Delco man.
Yeah, and it's just you kind of want to be like, no, that's not true. And then the news story comes out, and it's just Bonner grad or okay, yeah. So, but you know what though? It's the experience of. So it was a big risk for us because when I would go to other markets or even within this area, when you open up a brewery, you just see tap lines of that local brand. So I'd be in North Carolina or something. It was just local brewery after local brewery. In Delco, it was just really tough to kind of crack that nut.
And what do they drink down there? Is there one or two mappers? That was on the last podcast that Twisted Tea is there.
Oh yeah, Twisted Tea was big. I mean, but these are just macro lager drinkers. Miller Lite, Coors Light. I remember the first sampling I did was at Goff Suds and Soda. And I had Delco lager in cans, and I'm like, "Hey man, local brewery, we'd love to, give you a shot of this." He's like, "I tried it, beer fucking sucks." And I'm like, "What?" And he's walking out with a case of ham. So I'm like, "All right." So, it was tough, but yeah, a lot of those guys were drinking those macro lagers or sub premium lagers, or what have you. But Delco's now our biggest market by far.
Yeah. I imagine you've done a lot of tastings at beer shooters and whatnot.
Yeah.
sampling beer is the only time that like I've ever like gone out and done something like selling beer is like kind of like door-to-door sales at some point. Sampling beer at a beer distributor, people will just look you right in the eyes and be like, this sucks. And then just walk away and be like, all right, I guess that was like,
Yeah, thanks, bud. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make a, give my kid rollerblades, and give you a good beer. But yeah, you gotta.
they don't hold back. If it was anything else that you were just giving them, like they wouldn't be that rude. For some reason, like them sampling beer, people get like offended.
Yeah.
If like they are not craft beer.
And then when you watch them take out what they're bringing, it's just, or
There's a whole
what
other
they're
side
buying.
there for you. You guys are probably just like, and you just picked up a hand.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Man?
Yeah.
Come on, like, and
It is. We get like a kind of front row seat though of like what the actual customers are buying now.
Yeah.
it's crazy, yeah, and it's always shocking just seeing what's moving, what's coming out, and it's always what's coming out, but that's the thing. It's also like, you've been doing it long enough, and the thing that you saw 6 months ago, like, oh, everybody's buying this, it changes so quickly. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't sort of exist in a vacuum. There's opportunities for brands to say, all right, my brand's not moving now, but, who knows? I can come up with a new thing, or maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. Don't give up.
The craft beer community is like very fickle. It's like they're very opinionated, but that's one reason why the industry is so cool, because people are passionate about it. But it's cool that your Delco Lager has survived for so long.
Yeah.
Changing like that. But now you're saying what, Up and Out is your top?
Yeah,
brand now?
up and Out's our top brand. I mean, even brewing this beer was a challenge for us, where Ruby and Bob, like hazy IPAs in 2015, 2016. I remember Sean Avery came from Avery Brewing, was at our brewery, and he had some beer from the Vale, and we hadn't tried it before, and we were talking shit about like hazy IPAs, but it was just like this new thing that we didn't really understand.
Oh, we were talking shit. I remember.
Okay, all right.
Like
We were
probably a
talk-
year and a half, 2 years when hazy IPAs was coming out. As a beer industry, we were like, they don't know how to brew them. Like,
Yeah.
But we can't make one.
All right,
But
you're refreshing my memory. Yeah, we were talking massive shit about it, and it was because it was just these guys, like, brewers are trying to perfect the thing, right? They're at least are with Bob. It's trying to make the best example of, or the best product of a certain style,
Yeah.
following the guidelines, and really just day in, day out, you're brewing the same thing, but you're trying to make that little tweak to make it better.
Yeah.
With hazy IPAs, they were coming out and they were just kind of random, and they're stone hops, and it kind of was.
But the customers were liking them. So it was kind of like this weird.
You had to deal with
position.
it, yeah.
The beer industry was just like, we are trying to get these styles, and like it was like this disconnect between the brewers and the customers.
Yep.
As far as like what is actually quality versus what.
Yeah.
But ultimately is whatever the customer wants, because that's what we're doing. We're making beer for them. But
Yeah.
still, there was this disconnect for a little bit before everyone kind of got on the same page.
100%. And I had to deal with that with guys from Delco. So it was like that fight was, I remember we made our first hazy IPA with Tonewood, and we made a beer called Allocated. And ironically enough, it was all allocated. And I had a conversation, let's put that in quotes, with Ruby and Bob about, hey, we should really get behind these hazy IPAs. And they're like, no, blah, blah, blah. And, it was very tense, right? So the very next day after that conversation, Founders had just announced that they were getting behind Solid Gold, which is their light lager.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted, though. And I'm like, it was just Beer Business Daily, and I had to forward the emails to the whole team every day when we get them. And the headline was, Solid Gold, Founders, the next big thing. And Bob sent an email back, and he, quoted them. Well, what the hell are they thinking? Like, oh, the next big thing. Yeah, right. They should listen to Mike Contreras about, the hazy IPAs. So I called Stiggs, and I'm like, there's an email in your inbox that might as well be my resignation letter. And I told Bob, like, you blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, we ended up brewing Up and Out. And we kind of worked with Ruby and Bob to make sure that it was all the things that they didn't like about hazy IPAs, we want to put our own kind of like, we didn't like that they were not too shelf stable, but the ones that came out early, they really had a very short shelf life. And we want to make sure that, hey, this beer will be able to, when it goes to a wholesaler, yes, it goes into cold storage, but in Pennsylvania, it's not like in other markets where it goes right into the cold box. It can just sit on a beer distributor's floor, right? And you go pick up a warm 6-pack.
Yeah.
So there's that danger. So we wanted to put in a little bit of bittering hops in there and just do those little tweaks. So it does have that IBU presence in there, and it's, since we've made it, it's become our number one seller. So, and we love it, and it's great. And, we're on board with the hazy train, even it's still chugging along, but the market's kind of, it's continuing to evolve.
Hey, brewery or small business owner. At the Beer Accountant, they understand the unique financial challenges of the craft brewing industry. Are you tired of navigating complex brewery accounting and taxes on your own? Staying up late working on financials and getting your finances in order after a whole workday? They're a CPA dedicated to helping breweries like yours thrive, with services ranging from qualified bookkeeping, business tax prep, to strategic financial planning. Stop wasting time on spreadsheets and focus on what you do best: making great beer and running a small business. The Beer Accountant is led by Patrick McDonald, a CPA for 14 years. They are also the official CPA of the Brewers of PA, servicing over 50 breweries in 4 states. If you own a brewery or small business, stop overpaying from reactive support and start being proactive with the Beer Accountant. Don't brew that IPA without this CPA. Visit BeerAccountant.com to learn how their specialized expertise can help your brewery grow, profit, and succeed. That's Beer Accountant at BeerAccountant.com.
Definitely. So this public domain series, this is like kind of different branding that you guys have.
Yep.
Very cool. I know Cole outside loves this.
Yeah, Cole absolutely loves that.
Nice. Yeah, no, that was, so, marketing beer is tough. You guys stick out on the shelf somehow, and there's always a new thing, and you're always competing against that. So, we had worked with great guys. My boy Nolan helped design our labels. My sister Maisie's doing all the work for us now, and she's doing great stuff. And we did a beer called Circadian back in like 2019. And that beer, we were doing an IPA. It was going to be a rye hazy IPA. So that's kind of a challenge. Rye doesn't really sell, so we needed to make sure the label was up to snuff. So I had ate some funny candy one night, and I turned on one of those Nat Geo shows. And my mom I grew up in the arts, and I'm seeing all these birds, and I'm like, just in my own head, I'm like, man, this is like, how cool would it be if we had John Audubon's art on the can? Oh man, that'd be dope. So I woke up the next morning, I didn't forget that, and I was flying out to California, and I had said, I wrote them a note, and they called me right back, and I'm at the airport, and they say, hey, I asked them, hey, can we use Audubon's art? We'll give you guys the credit. We can do some kind of fun thing, do a bird watching event, blah, blah, blah. And the girl's like, that's a really great idea. We really love it. It's kind of funny that you hit us up. We're actually starting up in an organization. Now, this is the Audubon Society, National Audubon Society. He said, we're starting up Brewers for the Delaware. And it's this organization that wants to essentially protect the Delaware River Basin and to stop fracking around it and make sure that's a protected environment.
Yeah.
If you guys sign up for it, we'll let you use it. I said, sure, yeah, sign me right up. So she's like, oh, great. I'll send you all the information. She says, by the way, you could have just used it as part of the public domain. And I'm like, shit. So she gave me, that was a great idea years later. And that whole thing actually kind of turned into me working with those guys was awesome, where, a couple years later, I was asked to speak in front of the Pennsylvania House. And I had to give public comment on protecting the river basin, and they were bringing up legislation to stop fracking. And there I am speaking in front of the Pennsylvania State Legislature, like I know about anything. But they prepared a statement, and sure enough, it worked out where the state banned fracking around the river basin. Yeah. So anyway, A few years later, we're trying to think about new brands to do. And we thought, hey, well, this public domain series, why don't we do it where we use art that's in exhibits in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Barnes Foundation, Wyeth's paintings down in Chad's Ford. So we've developed this whole series, and to bring attention to a great organization called Art Goes to School, which is a Delaware Valley organization that goes into, it's mostly retirees who go into elementary schools to teach kids about art. So we want to, we always give them a shout on the label. My mom's president of that, or was president of that organization. So we wanted to bring awareness that, hey, this is a cool program. We wanted to put art on the can, something that you could see locally, and tell the story about the art, and then also like how you can get involved with the arts.
Nice. It's awesome. So 16-ounce can.
Yep.
You guys have 12-ounce cans. You guys have had 12-ounce cans for a long time.
Yeah.
What have you seen? I know there's a renaissance now of 12-ounce cans. What has that been like? Have you seen that? Like, people are starting to pick up.
Yeah. 12-ounce cans are interesting. It's the price point, I think. And it has to be a specific style, what we see at least. So like our seasonal beers, like our seasonal wheated ales or what have you, or like a specialty, like stouts. We have 6-pack stout, Baby Bob, and that moves extremely well actually for us because there's not many of those on the market.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we have to be very mindful of what we put in 12-ounce because the customer, unless it's a Russian Imperial Stout, they're only going to pay so much for it. And a lot of these beers that are in 16-ounce cans are typically much more expensive to brew.
Yeah.
We have seen more people buying 12-ounce, and there is a demand for it, but the 16 ounces are still moving pretty well for us. We've cut down the amount we're doing just to make sure, like, there is a bit of a downturn in craft beer, but the consumer is still out there buying the beer. We just don't want to overload the shelves, so it's, nobody's backed up,
Yeah, like this 6.6% West Coast IPA, I want to drink this in a 16-ounce can.
Yeah.
But then you have the Up and Out and the Delco, and I think those are both kind of like 12-ounce.
Yep, refrigerated beers that you
yeah.
want to just grab, throw at a tailgate, whatever. And those beers are becoming, certainly they're moving a lot better. And it's, the pandemic was, we got to do just 16-ounce beers because that was...
For a year and a half.
For a year and a half.
I think,
yeah. It was a crazy time that time. It was awesome. Like, we had to pivot majorly, and everybody did.
Yeah.
But our brewery was very strongly on-premise driven. So when I say on-premise, bars, we do really well in draft. Cans, we've always done okay, but we never really did the 16-ounce, get after it, different flavors all the time. But when the pandemic happens, like, we have no choice. Over half our business is just shut down.
Yeah.
So, we ended up just in Delaware County doing, we got a blessing from our wholesaler to do it. When we could do mail order in Pennsylvania, but we did self-distribution to people's houses. So we set up our own account. It was great. We just in Delaware County, but, just a testament to Delco. And this kind of really helped our business was, when the pandemic happened and everything was shut down, there was a Facebook group that popped up called the Delco Happy Hour. And like in the first day, there was like 10,000 people.
Oh my!
Second day, there was 50,000. And it was just people from Delco. So you can imagine Facebook group of just Delco people just going.
Is it still active?
It's still active, and it's still like just, it's, if you want to.
Facebook groups are the craziest place.
Oh, but the Delco one is like, if you want to doom scroll, like that's where you got to go. It's great. But we didn't know what to do. So, and there was no PPP loan. There was no like, this is pure survival. So I hit up my wholesaler. I'm like, even before I did, I'm like, I just put on a Facebook group. I said, hey guys, Mike from 2SP, would you be interested in mail order beer? We deliver right to your house. And it got like 3,000 likes and 200 comments. And I hit up my wholesaler and I'm like, I think I fucked up. They were absolutely cool. Wrigley Beverage, they were awesome about it. They're like, they were very nervous too because their business has been shut down with all the bars closing. And we don't want to piss off our retailer partners too with like cutting them out. But they were completely understanding.
If they can't sell it, then what's the point of you not being able to sell it also? Like, what, you all have to
Well, the beer distributors could, I guess.
Okay,
so they were like an essential business.
Yeah.
But they saw, especially in Delco, that's the thing about Delco. It's like, you know, we can talk shit about it all day. I don't. I love the place, and it's just, you know, deep down they look out for one another, and they looked out for us.
Delco loves Delco.
Yeah, they do, and it's they'll talk shit about you all day, but then when it comes to, you know, the rubber meets the road, they got your back. You know?
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and I was delivering 6-packs of Delco to places in Norwood and to places in Prospect Park. And, you know, we gave back. We had a $5 delivery fee, and we're like, everything's so close in Delco. I'm like, we don't really need this delivery fee. So we just ended up donating it. And like that went such a long way with people in our community. We donated to this group called the Delco Group. And, you know, since then, I think that's what it took in Delco. It's just, Delco doesn't think it can have nice things sometimes, but like they really get behind you if you get behind them. And, you know, that's what we've been trying to do for the past 10 years. And it's definitely caught on. We love them for it. And yeah, it's a really cool place, and the people are great.
So you guys are by the, what is the soccer team? You guys are by their stadium.
Union Stadium.
Union Stadium. Do you guys see, I don't know, I'm just like everyone else in the world, I've watched the World Cup this last month.
Yeah.
But I don't know when the Union season is. Are you?
Yeah.
I see people like pre-gaming at your spot.
Definitely. Yeah. We work closely with the Sons of Ben.
Okay.
The fan organization there. They're really cool. We help them out with beer, and we get guys there for the pregame. There's big youth programs down there. We don't get the kids. We get the dads that come in, you know, who are dropping their kids off, and they come in, they have a beer. But we definitely get the pregame element there. It's tough, though. I mean, they only play so many home games. There's not many, like, concerts there or anything.
What is the season, do you know?
I want to say it starts around, like, March or something, depending on how good they are. I could go into the late fall.
Okay.
So, but I think they had a tough season this past season. Season prior, they did great.
Yeah.
And we certainly see, for our tasting room where we are, we really kind of depend on that business. Oh, it's very nice, I should say.
Yeah,
You know,
there's not many options around you either.
No. There's some great bars, Coco's, Sundance Saloon that, you know, there's guys out, and there's some bars in Chester that we really love. But yeah, there's not really many for people who they're just in the area. There's not that like, oh, we all go to the PJ Willihan's or something.
Yeah.
Like we're sort of that spot that is familiar, that they know, oh, 2SP's right here. We get food trucks there on the weekend. So yeah, we do get a lot of customers coming in prior to the game to come, you know, pregame or what have you.
Nice.
You guys did a beer with Wawa at some point.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
So
'Cause that's crazy.
it's nuts.
Is
Yeah.
Wawa, Pennsylvania in Delco?
Yeah, so they're in their corporate office is, I think their mailing address is Media.
Okay.
But it's down Baltimore Pike.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of writes itself,
Yeah.
you know, the collaboration, but how do you get Wawa to do a collaboration with a bunch of Delco dumb shits, you know, like us? So I ended up, you know, I'm like, man, this has always been on the table. I drink Wawa coffee religiously.
I've had Wawa once a fucking day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And especially around here, it's like a religion. I mean, there's a church in every town. Now there's a Wawa in every town, but it's also like, you know, a place.
There's a couple of Wawas in every town now.
There's a couple of Wawas in every town. It's a place where people gather, though. And
Yeah.
it's just, when I say gather, I mean whether that means eating on the trash can or, but just like, yeah, it's kind of like it is a religious experience. You kind of go through you walk in, you know exactly where you got to go. It's like you have a pattern, and like the people there, and you're respectful towards them, not necessarily in the parking lot, but you know, it was just, you know, something that we had to do. And we were trying to think of, I think this started in 2019. And I was like, man, we got to think of something to do for Q4 with our beers.
And Wawa had just started selling beer, right?
Wawa had just started selling beer in the Chad's Ford location about a year prior. So I met all these guys, and I didn't, I'm in sales, hard sell right in the beginning. You just say, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Had all their contacts, and I'm like, I'm going to hit them up eventually. And, September, I just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to just cold call it. And I hit the people up who had invited me out to their opening in Chad's Ford. And I said, I'm sitting here drinking a Wawa coffee, which I was, thinking about what the hell we're going to brew in Q4. We're in Delco, you're in Delco. Why don't we get together and talk about potentially doing a beer? And to my surprise, like a couple hours later, I got an email back. And they're like, yeah, we'll come by. This like Tuesday work. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I don't know what. Yeah, absolutely. So they come in, and these guys are great. I'm still friends with these guys to this day. One of the guys went to school with Bob, our head brewer, a few years before him. So I didn't have that in, but I'm like, I can play on the inner barrel bucks thing.
Yeah.
So I met with them, and I ended up talking to them about. I had gone into a Wawa the day before the meeting, and I saw they had a new coffee there called the Reserve Coffee. I'm like, I bet they changed that up. So they come in, I take them on a tour, and they say, what's your idea? I don't have any PowerPoint presentation. They got nothing. I'm like, listen, I see you got this new coffee called Reserve. I imagine you switched that up. Why don't we make something for the next round of them? And their eyes just kind of lit up, and they said, I think that might work. And I'm like, shit, like, wait, really? And they're like, yeah, like, so they had just gotten rid of they were trying this experiment to do sort of a higher end coffee, and they were very nervous about the holiday coffee going away, which is still around.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't want to develop, but whatever. They're cool with this. So they're like, yeah, let's do this. We think we want to market this Winter Reserve coffee that we have coming out. So they present it to their board, and they say, we're in. And I'm like, great, when do you want to do this? And they said, November. And it's like October 1st. And I'm like, oh, I got to develop a label and get all the ingredients ordered, develop a recipe.
Not a next day thing.
No, but when you have guys like Bob and Ruby, we were able to
through the schedule, let's figure this out, right?
Yeah. And
this is it's such a unique opportunity.
You have to get behind it. Yeah. And we developed the label. My boy Nolan Strauss from Post Typography, he's on his own now, developed the label. And you're dealing with Wawa, like major business, privately owned, but still, like, you don't know, it's got to go through channels, approvals. I'm thinking I'm going to have to send this label back 100 times. They're like, this looks great. Yeah, go for it. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm like, this is going a lot smoother than I thought. And they were so cool to, like, when we did this, since then, other collaborations have happened that are similar to this with, like, retailers or different groups, and they like to keep it in-house. They don't want to go in anywhere. I'm like, our retailers are extremely important to us, like all of those relationships, and we knew how big this is going to be. And if we just give it to Wawa, like, this would blow up in our face and really kind of hurt us. And this is something that we want to bring to the community, because this is something that's going to really just...
Yeah.
And it ended up doing that. Wawa was completely cool. They're like, absolutely, go sell it. We didn't overdo it. We did 90 barrels, which is, 900 cases, which was far less than the market was demanding. We ended up launching the product, and they were as surprised as I knew this was going to happen. This was when lines were still occurring for releases.
Yeah.
We had the Chad's Ford location, and we're there at the release. A line was wrapped around the Wawa. CVS, ABC had helicopters going around. Yeah. They're like looking at me, and I'm like, what do you want? So we worked with them for 5 years. Awesome people. I mean,
we've been doing multiple beers with them then?
Yeah, so we did it year after year. We did a springtime beer with them too. We ended up doing it in Florida and Virginia as well. Yeah, it was really cool. We worked with Hardywood in Virginia on a recipe.
Hardywood's an amazing brewery. I love them.
Yeah, really good dudes. Coppertail, Casey Hughes was down there, who was the Flying Fish brewer. he was at Coppertail at the time in Tampa. So we did collaborations there, and then we did them up here, and it was great. We did them during the pandemic, and the Wawa people were great to work with. So we did that for years, and it just kind of was just like, hey, with craft, it's, people are always looking for the next thing. So we just kind of like, did our own things, and, we work with Herman's Coffee now, Little Goat Coffee. I still keep in touch daily with the Wawa people though. They're awesome. So it was nice, like kind of surprising collaboration. The beer was awesome. It was just a nice,
I never put two and two together with it was a porter like that I remember seeing at least, I think.
We had, so it was our stout, and then we had the bottled beer there was no porter. It was just,
there wasn't, okay.
Yeah, it was just imperial stout. We did a barrel aged version of that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and the beer turned out great.
Yeah.
With how Bob and Ruby approached, a lot of our beers, whether they're barrel aged beers or when we add like a fruit to a beer or what have you, you don't want one to overpower the other too much. You kind of want them to blend together, balance, and sing off. So with the Wawa beers, we try to really, and all the other coffee beers we've done since, amplify the flavors of the coffee. The coffee will amplify the flavors of the beer. And that's a really difficult balance to get. And we got those for sure with the Wawa beers. But yeah, it was just like, it got so much press. Like the CEO of the company, like this got more press than Hoagie Fest. You're like, again, and they took a chance, and they worked with some local guys, and that's huge. To give us an opportunity like that
Wawa is like the national but local brand that everyone loves in Philly. So like it makes sense to work with you guys that corner.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we didn't know how it would be received, amongst other brewers and stuff.
It also helped that it was a great beer.
It was a great beer, and everybody's like, "This makes total sense."
Yeah.
It didn't feel like when you hear that, you're like, that's just a marketing gimmick, blah blah blah. Like our whole approach and working with them, they're local. We're using their coffee in our beer. Like it just made sense. It just kind of checked all the boxes.
I remember
without being.
I was at Victory at the time when it came out. Like everyone at Victory was like, "Damn,
That's how this guy's getting." Yeah. Completely pulled it out of my hat, man. I'm just like, what do you think? And that's the thing. Like most of so not to go off the topic, but it's just like right place, right time a lot of times. So like we export our beer to Japan, and I mentioned in the beginning, we've
Heard about that.
Yeah, we rugby has been an awesome thing for me personally. Just like the community of people, just the sport itself is great, and how kind of develops you as an individual. But the rugby community is kind of a global community. And when I went to Claremont, I had gone out to the college team there, and there was I played there for a few practices, and a little Japanese guy comes out. And, rugby's a rough game. So, whenever a new player comes out, you want to invite him out to beers and hope that he comes out, because you need bodies, right? And a lot of guys quit pretty quickly. So you want to make him feel part of the team. So like, hey, man, we're going to go grab beers. You want to come out? He's like, hi, yes. And I'm completely unfamiliar with Japanese culture at the time. So me and my buddy Lloyd, big South African guy, we can put some down. We're drinking, and he's like matching us beer for beer. He's like 5'5", like 150, and doesn't speak good English at all. So what better drinking buddy is that, So I'm like, who is this guy? And me and him became very tight. He was in the MBA program. I was in philosophy. So like, we were just talking past each other the whole time throughout our friendship. And we're at a bar one day, and he's like, I just had started with Rogue. And he's like, Mike, if you ever open up your own brewery, I import. And I'm like, okay, sure, bud. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's hear another one. And, however many years later, 10 years later, we open up 2SP. I get a call from him, and he's like, Mike, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to import your beer. And I'm like, bro, you got a family, man. Like, I don't know what you're thinking here. And he says, no, I'm going to quit my job. And he was very successful. He worked for Ernst & Young and like major consulting, agencies. And I get a call a week later. He says, Mike, I quit my job. I'm like, oh, shoot. So,
pressure.
he's like, I'm coming out. I'm like, when? He says, next week. And I'm like, where are you staying? He's like, with you. And I'm like, all right. So he comes out, stays with me. Because I had been in the industry for a while, I took him out to different breweries, Industrial Arts. Who did I introduce him to? You guys at Evolution Brewing. I think RAR, a few other guys, but he's developed his own, he created his own importing business. He has other half now, Forest and Moon, Tired Hands he got on pretty early on. And he's developed this thing, and it's kind of crazy. The Japanese beer market is like...
It is. CBC. Like, there's a lot of Japanese people that we saw in
Yeah,
Taylor.
there were a ton.
Yep.
And I have Japanese cousins. My uncle moved to Japan
There you go.
38 years ago, never came back. So my cousins are Japanese, and their husbands are in the brewing industry.
No kidding.
So when they were or whatever, but it was like, it is a very cool beer market. Apparently, the hops from Japan are very cool. There's like a town that like has all the hops, kind of like Pacific Northwest Japan.
Imagine like Northern Japan or something. I went out there in 2019, and I was shocked that people knew us and they didn't know who Allagash was. So it's like, all right, but
cool.
It was great, and it was just the people there are fantastic. But and they were genuinely excited to hear about the beer and just get a sticker from you, but also just to have a beer with you. And we've been exporting there. It's a small amount. It's nothing crazy, but
But it's cool to do. It doesn't matter. Something like that. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. It's just it improves the quality of your brand, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, you can have Delco Lager in Hiroshima, but you can't get it in South Jersey. I don't know.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and it tastes great over there because those guys are like to the nth degree about keeping it the lines clean, making sure it's poured at a specific temperature, what have you. And my buddy's like it's mostly white guys who import. Who live in Japan who import American breweries. He's like one of the first Japanese guys to do it. And it's kind of crazy. He comes out and, we're talking about his business, and he's very, conservative, at least, expressing himself. And I says, how's the business? Excuse me. He says, how's the business going? I say to him, and he's like, it's going okay. I need to make more money. And I said, well, how do you distribute? Like, what do you, he's like, oh, I pay third party. And I said, you pay a third party? I'm like, how much are you paying a keg? And he's like, 10, 20 bucks. I'm like, you can deliver 10 kegs and have a truck payment. And he's like, I get my own truck. And I'm like, well, wait, hold on. You think it takes more than that? He's like, no, I get my own truck. He's one of the first, he's the only guy really out there doing his own deliveries with his own sales team. He's got little reefer trucks. Like when I say little reefer trucks, I got in one and it's like my knees are in my chest and the wheels are like this big and we're driving to the airport in it and it's tilted this way with my fat ass in the passenger seat. But he's just developed this nice little culture. And like I was at McKellar in Tokyo talking to the guy there who's forget the name off the top of my head, but he's from Spokane. I was asking him about June, and he's like, he's killing it. He's just one of these guys who's been able to,
just find his angle.
Yeah, find his angle and run right through it and be on top of it. So
last year I saw a bunch of I think it was like Other Half, Evil Twin.
yeah,
Maybe Human Robot. There's a bunch of people that are going out to China,
yeah.
and like that's like just like hitting like the Asian market is just like it's so far. It's literally on the other side of the world from us. It's like hard to get to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess if you have contacts out there, like getting when you go to a restaurant here and you see a beer from Japan, you're like, oh shit, what is this?
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you see
Really
beer.
want to try it.
Yeah, when you see beers from it's getting it over there, and especially when events happen, like if you remember the Suez Canal was blocked. Yeah, years ago.
With
Like
the Evergreen ship.
yeah, and when like stuff that affects supply chains, like it certainly affects cargo going over there, but we get so much from Asia. There's tons of cargo ships that come over here. They're looking for stuff to bring back.
There's empty ships, so it's probably easier than send stuff back.
Exactly. So we're in Taiwan. I don't know too much about it, but he's opened up a Taiwan, Taipei. I don't know.
Business expense that shit.
Yeah, right. So excuse me. So I know a guy, his name's Felix, and he was telling me he does a lot of exporting to China. He's really a dude. I see him at different beer fests. And he told me a funny story that I completely was, it made sense. He says, you got to be careful with what you export to China. And I said, oh, why is that? I'm thinking labels or something, or, just some sort of maybe formality with the Chinese government. He says, no, I sent a bunch of lactose beers to China and we had a big event. Lactose isn't a part of the Chinese diet. So yeah, so he says, yeah, you have lactose beers. The conversation
like a movie or something.
Yeah, a horror film, and I'm like, oh, this is unbelievable. Like, but that side of the world, China, South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, our buddies who live in Indonesia and Bali. Those places, they're looking for good beer. In America, it's lost a little bit now on us, but we kind of forget how special American craft beer is.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world kind of looks at us as like the forefront of, and in Japan, you were mentioning CBC, those guys, if you watch World Beer Cup, they were winning a ton of awards. And that hadn't happened. So.
Yeah, the way that a lot of people are looking at European export lagers now.
Yeah.
Probably the rest of the world looks at American craft beer, hazy IPAs.
Yep, exactly. And they're excited and they see, the uniqueness of different regions, and that they follow they're on top of their game. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
Almost to a disturbing degree. Like, you know about us? You know about our little brewery here in southeastern PA? What? But yeah, I'll never forget, like, just having a beer in Hiroshima. My buddy sent me down. He sent me to a bar, and I watched the baseball game with one of these guys who's the bartender's friend, and like just slamming up and outs and just having the time of my life.
That's amazing.
I went to they had a fish cutting, kind of like how we have pig roast.
Yeah.
They had a mackerel or like huge tuna.
Yeah.
And I went to an event where we were drinking our Imperial IPA there.
Oh, it's
the best. But it was like, my buddy's like, you got to lift up the fish. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And, we get to the event. I'm having a few beers. He's like, you got to lift it up. I'm not going to do it. So they bring out the fish. Everybody's taking pictures with it. And I'm like taking my picture, and he says, lift it up. And I'm like, no. And like a couple other people are like, yeah, lift it up. I look around the room. If this was any bar in Delco, half the room could fill it up, like lift this thing up. It was like 110 pounds. I look around the room, I'm like, I'm the only guy who could do this. So I'm like, all right, this is my time. Why not? So I end up lifting it up and like, American, so strong. So I feel like I'm on top of the world, right? So I'm drinking the up in a ways. I'm like, wait, what? This couldn't be a better experience. So we're in a small circle, and they don't speak English. A lot of these guys, a lot of people in Japan, it's not like going to Europe where they, good amount speak English. So they're all talking Japanese, and a group of girls come up. So I'm just sitting there drinking, and one of the girls just puts her hand on my belly and starts rubbing it. And I'm like, all right. So I think I'm the man. I'm drinking my up and away. I'm so strong, And she takes her hand off, and another girl goes and she puts her hand up on my belly, and I'm like, all right, what's happening? And they're like, oh, no. Very cute. And I'm like, okay. They're like sumo. And I'm like, oh.
Just got to take it as a compliment.
Yeah, so I never want to go to Japan again. So, yeah, they wounded my ego. But, no, it was just such a cool experience going out there, seeing the culture, seeing the people, and, like, just making a trip out of it, of course.
It's so funny. Delco, Japan.
Yeah.
Have some connection.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely wild. And that's how we went to Industrial Arts, and Chief, who was Jeff O'Neill, my buddy June was pitching him, and he had just opened up, and he was the hot thing in New York. And he's like, I'm just focusing on New York. He's like, my buddy June's like, you can have New York and Tokyo. And he's just like, that's actually kind of cool. It's got a ring where it's like, the two big metros.
Yeah, Paris.
Yes, exactly. So you can find all these great breweries from the East Coast, and that was his focus originally. I think he's picked up a few more, but that was his focus. Like, in East Coast breweries, because West Coast breweries had a huge presence out there comparatively, because of
distance.
The cargo ships coming in would go to LA Harbor or something, or Seattle, what have you. So it just made sense to import more of those. But yeah, pretty cool experience exporting out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up, and then you can hit our Patreon, aka we can see if we can do the. We don't have a Patreon, but maybe we'll be able to talk about this after the episode, because I think whatever's happening, will probably be out when this episode comes out. So let's just end the episode now, if that's fine with you.
Sure.
So where can we find 2SP online?
So 2SP Brewing Instagram, 2SP Brewing on Facebook, www.2SP Brewing. Find us in Delco at Aston. Come to our tasting room, open 7 days a week. Really great staff there, really good beer list. It's not just IPAs. We got lagers, we got pilsners, we have great stouts. We're always releasing something new and fun. So, come experience us. If you're lost in Delco, just put in 2SP Brewing, and we're right off of 95.
Amazing. Thank you for coming on this really fun episode. You can find us at BrewedAt, at the BrewedAt podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, 5 stars. Thank you.